On September 11, 2001, the world changed forever. 2,996 people were killed and 6,000 injured. On the day of the attacks and in the coming weeks, the U.S. Army Band began its mission of contingency operations in the U.S. Capitol. Much like important historic events of the past, people can remember where they were and what they were doing in great detail. As the band supported rescue efforts at the Pentagon, they also resumed their solemn mission of supporting funerals at Arlington National Cemetery, including services for those killed in the terrorist attacks.
At the Pentagon, a plane or a helicopter has crashed, apparently as part of whatever this operation has been.
Well, Aaron, there is a lot of confusion here at the Pentagon. It appears that something hit the Pentagon on the outside of the 5th corridor.
I was in shock, and I couldn't believe it. I was really, it was scary, frankly, because you didn't know if the attacks were over. Obviously, you didn't know anything. I was glued to the television set.
Once the Pentagon got hit, people were starting to get out the front doors, and you could see the smoke coming out, coming up from the Pentagon out over Arlington Cemetery.
And we transitioned to contingency operations, which is part of our mission statement, protection of the Capitol.
September 12th, we got the word I got the word from my section leader, and he's like, okay, here's the deal. We're going to be providing generator and lighting support. Once you get down to the Pentagon, that was a different story altogether, because there, the smells varied. They started out as burning and, very smoky sort of burning jet fuel sort of smell, which was eventually replaced with decaying flesh. So having to smell all the parts, pieces and parts of people.
At that point, the building was still smoldering. There were pieces of the fuselage of the plane that were cordoned off. So it was still pretty surreal to be that close to the incident where it took place.
We were kind of preparing moving our missions around to kind of set the conditions for us to be able to do more funerals, frankly, and more ceremonies and memorials and that kind of stuff. We kind of knew that was going to come.
We conducted funerals 6 days a week on Saturdays, which is not the norm, to sort of catch up and inter those that had been killed in the Pentagon attack.
That's not our job to get emotional. Our job is to support, right? But those jobs were different.
It was on 9/11 and then the years following where the family members and the deceased were closer to my age, which was emotional.
About 3 weeks after the incident, the band was sent to New York City for two things. We had already planned a concert at Lincoln Center. It was a celebration concert we had done every year at Lincoln Center. This one was going to be a tribute to the city of New York.
I just remember being struck by the missing buildings, because I'd been there plenty of times. The band's been up to New York lots of times. And you see those World Trade Centers, and then all of a sudden they're not there.
So when they were being built, I was a young kid that was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. It's like the space age. And then to stand there to see them in a rubble was really shocking. It was make your stomach hurt, And the next day, we went to Ground Zero to play a memorial service at the rubble pile.
Yeah, you're kind of soaking it all in, but we were there to do a mission. We were there to set up gear for a concert. And I think once you get into that sort of set up and get ready for the mission sort of mode, you really, at least I kind of stopped thinking about, the periphery and focused on the mission of what we had to do. I believe it was our flag that they flew over the crash site at the Pentagon. Once they had cleaned it up to a good extent, they took our giant garrison flag that we used to take out on concerts and fly it, hang it behind the band, and that's the flag that we end up giving to the efforts over there at the Pentagon, and that's the one they flew over the hole in the building.
So that was our flag, and but to me it's very important because we're neighbors to the Pentagon.
For such an awful day, that did bring about a real sense of community.
The weird thing about tragedies, sometimes they could generate some of the most memorable events in your life. If you could just take away the horribleness of what caused it, you have this weird combination of horror and joy because you feel something so human. That day and the 17 years following have given us and me a great sense of purpose in the band. From the interments of those that were killed on that awful day, and through the wars that followed, and also I think the sense of patriotism in the community that the band can instill in our citizens, it gives me a great deal of pride.